All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Saturday, December 21st. We have a large NBA slate, I believe 12 games to dive into in today's video. Like we always do, I'm going to dive into each and every one of these games. I'll give you my prediction on the side. I'll give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, guys, keep an eye down on the pinned comment. That'll take you to my final play, so I'm actually rolling with myself. If you do want to roll me, and if that does interest you, all of those final plays for free down in the pinned comment. In terms of yesterday, a 1-and-1 night. Brook Lopez comes through for us with the threes, which, if we remember, he was on the DNB graveyard for a little while. Now he's back in our good graces. Cashes for us yesterday. And then we had a same game parlay. AJ Green, 1+3. I think that was the most juiced leg that we put in there, and he doesn't hit one. I thought he'd have way more of a workload from the perimeter with Dame out, and you know what? He really didn't even shoot all that much. So unfortunately, that is a big L. But we keep the vibes high around here with the ride of the day, plus money play from my man here, Debo, coming in with Donovan Mitchell over 23.5 points and Darius Garland 15 plus. I think Mitchell finished with, what was it, 27, and Garland finishing with 16. Let me fact check that really quickly. 27 from Mitchell, 16 from Garland. We'll take the cha-ching on the plus money ride of the day. If you guys don't know what the ride of the day is, make sure to use that hashtag ride of the day or ROTD in the comments. I jump on board with one person's play each and every day. Give you a shout out in the next video, win or loss. Also shout you out over on my X/Twitter, as well as the Guy Boston Sports site. If you win, we continue to ride with your play. If you lose, you got to face the womp womp. We got to talk about it. But that ain't the case for an absolute OG of the channel here in Debo there with the ride of the day. So we're looking forward to seeing what he rolls with. But get those comments down there, guys, as well. Use that hashtag ride of the day. And let me know what you're thinking of the new graphics. Do we like it? Is it too much? That type of thing. Try to spice it up a little bit versus just slabbing the play on the screen. But let me know what you guys think. But what do you say we dive into this larger than, a decent-sized NBA slate? There might be some games that we spend more time on, some games that we kind of blow through, but it's just, what I find or what I found in these games that'll dictate the time. So FYI there. But hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let's kick it off with game number 1 here. We got Sacramento Kings taking on the Lakers. We did just see this matchup recently. The Lakers end up winning that one 113-100. That was a couple nights ago, right? That was when we had Domas Sabonis over 19.5 points. He had 18 heading into the fourth quarter. Doesn't score another bucket there. So that was unfortunate. But we did have the Lakers team total under in that cashed as well. I know it might seem a little crazy, but I don't see anything in the data. Obviously, the only recent game for these two teams was against one another. That would sway my opinion from doing anything that we did last time. So the Kings still on the DNB graveyard right there. I'm not touching the Kings. I can lean towards them, but I doubt I make them a final play. I still do think this is a bounce back spot for them, so, that would be my lean, I guess. I like the Lakers team total still. They started the game really, really hot. They had 43 points like that in that game, and they still finished under the number we took, under 114.5. They finished at 113, so I expect this one to slow down a little bit more as well. So, I'll lean towards an under, a Lakers team total under. I guess the Kings, but the way of doing that probably would be Lakers team total under, kind of like we did last time. The Kings lost that game, but the Lakers, the Kings defense down low actually prevented the Lakers from doing what they like to do, which is score in the paint. And then I'd also look at Sabonis, again, over 19.5 points. He honestly, I'm not a big coulda, woulda, shoulda in this industry, but he should have had 20 points. He was rolling, he had 18 heading into the fourth quarter, didn't score another bucket, you know what I mean? So I like him over 19.5 here yet again. Maybe we look at a first half line from him, something like that, if we can get him maybe on something like Prize Picks to pair it up with, because he's hit that 9 of his last 10 games, so he's definitely a first half player, especially from how we got burned with that fourth quarter. All right, Orlando taking on Miami. Now, based on the spread, -3, the total at 208, this should be one of those games where I'm sitting here being like, oh, we got one of the good games because it's a low spread and all that. Not so much. I'm kind of on the fence in this one here. I mean, you have Orlando, who's still absolutely beaten and bruised, right? But you have Miami, who I can't sit here and tell you that they're playing their best basketball. They lost to Detroit, then they lose to OKC yesterday. Now they're on the back-to-back. Now, the loss to OKC is, I guess, fine. OKC, one of the best teams in the entire league, right? But overall, it was OKC. I think they had played OKC was on a back-to-back, so wasn't the best look for Miami here. Miami now on the road. We just saw Orlando get beat by OKC, but a little bit, I guess better of a performance from them, a little bit. So to me, this one can go either way. I'm gonna say give me the healthier team, which Jimmy Butler might not play in this one, so I say the healthier team, and it might not even be Miami, but give me Miami plus the 3 points. You still have Wagner and Ben Caro obviously out for Orlando. Now you also have Suggs listed as a game time decision. I think I've seen on some sites him as probable, but that's massive, right? If you go down Suggs, Ben Caro, and Wagner, it's like, what are we doing here? I think Suggs might play, but either way, I still do think that this is probably a Miami spot. But I started this off by saying kind of on the fence here. So if you looked at this early and you're like, no, I love Orlando in this spot, do not let me talk you off of it. From a total perspective, that is where I can say, these are two slow-paced teams. They definitely are going to rely on their defense. I'll lean towards an under. Am I in love with it? Not necessarily. I do think that this is a spot in which, it's such a low line that we could have like a 105 to 104 game, and it's like, crap, that went over, and it was such a low line, right? But either way, give me Miami and the under. Keep an eye to see if there is any final plays in this game, because like I said, I've been going back and forth. Seems like it should be one of those games where there is some value today because it's one of the closer spreads and whatnot, but there's some other ones out there that I prioritize over this one. All right, an interesting one here that we definitely could have some final plays pop up. We have Atlanta taking on Memphis. Some injury news to note here, big time. Trae Young listed as questionable, not probable, not doubtful, straight down the middle, questionable. So we'll keep an eye on that, right? Okongwu listed as out, so that's obviously pretty big for Clint Capella's backup. Then on the Memphis side of thing, Ja Morant's listed as doubtful. He's not even in the projected starting lineup, so I almost assume he's not going to play. If he does, then obviously, that changes things. Marcus Smart also listed as questionable, and then they have the same injuries. Williams, Jackson, Huff, the guys that have been, not Jaren Jackson, Gigi Jackson, the guys that have been out for a while. So there are some crucial pieces here. Trae Young questionable, Okongwu out, Ja Morant, Marcus Smart definitely worth keeping an eye on here. If Ja Morant doesn't play, which I don't expect him to, I think I jump right to a player prop in this one. What do we know about Atlanta this year? And if you don't know it, you should know it, that they very much struggle on the perimeter. So who's going to be shooting those shots for, who do I think is going to be shooting those shots for the Grizzlies on the perimeter if Ja Morant is out? Desmond Bane. Now, Desmond Bane has had what we can call an up and down year, and I don't even know if it's worth saying up and down. Like, he's had just almost most of his games have been kind of down, right, compared to what he was last year and stuff. His line is at 17.5, which also tells me that, I'm assuming, Ja Morant doesn't play, but I still don't necessarily mind that. I also don't mind him over 2.5 3-pointers made for plus money. Last time he played Atlanta, albeit it was literally like a year ago, I think in 2 days. So it was a year ago Monday, so it's been a long time, right? 363 days, quick math. He hit 5 threes against them. That was last year. I just got finished saying Desmond Bane was a little different last year, but we've only bet on Desmond Bane once this season, and he came through for us because of the same type of situation, right? Attack the perimeter. There's no better team to attack the perimeter than Atlanta here. So I don't mind him in this spot. If Trae Young plays, I think this is a decent spot for Atlanta to be able to get to the rim and score on Memphis. So I'll take them plus the 1.5 at home as long as Trae Young plays. If he doesn't, I'm not really looking to get my hands dirty in this game with both of the star point guards out. You know what I mean? It's not like the star shooter, star small forward. These are the star point guards, the guys that get the thing going, play make, and all of that. So yeah, I'm not really messing around with that, especially with the total as well. I think Desmond Bane or nothing is probably my only kind of focus here because I like that even if Ja Morant plays, and that doesn't impact, like, his Desmond Bane spot doesn't impact whether or not Trae Young's playing doesn't impact whether or not I like that either. So that's my more focus in this one, but I would go Atlanta and the over if Trae Young plays. I don't think Ja is playing. All right, guys, real quick, before we do get to the rest of the games, I want to talk to you about Underdog. They have a free pick tonight. Steph Curry, 0.5 points. He just needs 1 point in his matchup tonight. All you have to do is use that link in the description. It'll also be in the pinned comment, whichever one is easiest for you. Sign up today. You're also going to get a deposit match of $1,000 or up to $1,000, which is absolutely mind-blowing every time I say that out loud. Go get this free pick and up to $1,000 in bonus cash over on Underdog. If you don't know what Underdog is, it's a DFS app in which you pick higher or lower based on player set projections. We're going to pick the higher on the Steph Curry one, right? You throw those into an entry. The more you get correct, the more you do get paid out. So go ahead and check out Underdog. That link will be down below. Now let's jump back into the rest of these games. All right, Brooklyn taking on Utah. I think that we could sit here and be like, this is probably not going to be the most defensive game. We have Utah as the worst defensive efficiency team on the year right now, and then Brooklyn sitting at the fourth worst. Now, there are some injuries to note here, as there has been for Brooklyn for a while. Cam Thomas still listed as out, and then Keontae George, starting point guard of Utah, listed as questionable as well. So two guys that are crucial to the offense, obviously listed as either questionable or out. In this spot, I almost want to look at an over, but I did that with Brooklyn and Toronto, was that 2 nights ago, and I really like the spot. Then RJ Barrett gets ruled out, and it was like, well, yeah, who's going to score points now? But I do think that there's such Olay defenses on either side here that it's like, how do we not get to, 110 apiece in this spot, and then one more bucket seals the deal? So I will lean towards the over. Both these teams can score from the perimeter, fairly well. Actually, Brooklyn this season, the 6th best as of late, just the 13th. So they've definitely downgraded a little bit. Obviously, Cam Thomas being out hurts as well. And Utah, top half of the league in terms of points from three, for them per game. And actually, in the last 3 games, they've scored the most points from three. So yeah, give me an over 221. This definitely has a strong chance of making its way to being a final play. I just have to decide if I really want to swallow the pill of, rolling with Utah's in Brooklyn's offenses, right? Like, yes, the defense is stinking. I'm pretty confident in that. But do we really want to trust the offenses? Utah, in their last few games here have looked okay. 123, 107, 126. Brooklyn, 101, 101, 119, 113, 99. A little bit lower, but I do think against Utah, they should be able to kind of run it up a little bit. Last time we saw these two teams play, it was not this season, it was last, but 147 to 114 was the final score. Before that, 125 to 108. So there are some familiar faces there. Maybe we do see some points getting run here. Now, I don't have any player props as of right now, and I don't envision any adding in this game, to be completely honest. If I had to pick a side, I would probably still look at Brooklyn. I think that they're just a slightly better team just as they're comprised now. Utah's coming off a win, so is Brooklyn. Brooklyn beat Toronto with no RJ Barrett. Utah beat Detroit. It's like you could pick your poison here. I'm just going with the home team in this spot and the team that's been better against the spread team so far this season, right? So yeah, if you're on Utah, which I still think you're kind of crazy if you like either one of these sides heavily, but if you're on Utah, this is another one where I'm like, do not let me talk you off of it. You know what I mean? I think I like the over, but if I had to pick a side, it would be Brooklyn because they're at home. All right, New Orleans taking on the Knicks here. This line is actually at 7.5 on in most places, so make sure to keep an eye on that. Injury-wise, still the same old injuries for both teams. Robinson out for the Knicks. We have Ingram, Alvarado, Zion, Daniel Tice out for the Pelicans. This is not the sexiest matchup on the board, and I do think that it's fair to just say, all right, let's fade the Pelicans until further notice, right? This is a team that has definitely struggled. They've struggled at home, on the road, no matter where they're playing. And actually, the Knicks have been pretty damn good on the road this season. So, yeah, I'll lean towards the Knicks minus the 7.5 points. They're coming off of that nice win against Minnesota where Karl-Anthony Towns went absolutely off in front of his old fans there, or still fans, but his old home team. So, yeah, this is just a spot in which maybe the Knicks have a little bit of momentum. They've won 7 of their last 10 games, right? They've looked good. Last time they played, which was earlier this month or late November, and the Knicks almost beat them by, I think they did beat them by, it was like 118 to 90 or something like that. So we've already seen it too. So I think that the Knicks can come in here and do their job yet again. Now that was in New York. That's a little bit different, but like I said, Knicks playing well on the road and at home. I think it's worthy to fade the Pelicans as of right now. Now, from a total perspective, we're sitting at 220. I think the Knicks can put up a decent number, 226, put up a decent number. So I might consider a Knicks team total over. Like I said, the way they've been playing, they've looked pretty good. They've had some low-scoring games, had some high-scoring games. I get that, but their low-scoring games, okay, against Orlando, they got the Hawks when the Hawks were playing really good defense. Toronto, Detroit, like they've played some of these really slow and I don't want to say good defense, but decent defensive teams. I don't think the Pelicans are in that boat. The Pelicans, actually, over the last 10 games, playing at the 7th highest pace, and they're playing with the 3rd worst defensive efficiency in the league. So the Knicks, I think, should be able to score on them to some degree. Depending on what their line, it's probably going to be like 115 and beyond. It'll be a high line, but I guess that's a spot that I'd look. And then no player props that I'm loving in this one as of right now. All right, Minnesota taking on Golden State. I will be honest, I've bounced back and forth in this one, and even still, I'm not sure if I love my spot with Minnesota minus the 3.5 points. I haven't rolled with it myself, haven't locked it in as a final play, but still, as of right now, I'm kind of sitting here being like, is that the move? Minnesota took that bad loss against the Knicks. We just talked about with Karl-Anthony Towns, right? But they've still won 6 of the last 10 games. They've technically won 6 of their last 8 games, which looks a little bit better. Golden State here has lost 8 of their last 10 games. They're coming off of a bad loss to Memphis, 144-93. So to me, it's like, yeah, which team is in a worse spot, right? Like, and that was a Ja Morant game in which he only played, I think it was like 15 minutes too. But which team is in a worse spot? I'm not exactly sure. This Minnesota team obviously has been playing better basketball, but did that New York Knicks loss just kick them in the you-know-what? They're the home team, and this is looking like a low-scoring game. I think I'm going to lean towards the favorite here for a couple different reasons. Golden State's obviously going to want to shoot from 3. Last 10 games, 3rd most attempts from above the break. And on the season, they're scoring the 4th most points from 3. This Minnesota defense, if you want to give them credit anywhere, and the reason they've been so efficient is that they've locked down the 3-point line this season. 3rd fewest points from 3 against per game. So that's kind of the distinguisher here. Last time these two teams played was early December, and we saw them split. They played on the 6th, and Minnesota won that one by 17. And then we saw them play on the 8th, and Golden State bounced back and won. I think it was by like 8 or 9, something like that. We did see some injuries in those games, but still, most of the same guys playing as of right now. So yeah, that took, I think it was like 30 points from Steph Curry. Buddy Hield went for 27. Kuminga went for 20. Yeah, I'm looking at the box score now. Looney with 12 off the bench. I don't necessarily think that they have that in their back pocket again today. So give me Minnesota minus 3.5. I think I've sold myself on it. If I keep talking about it long enough, I might start making a case for Golden State, but I think I've sold myself on Minnesota minus the 3.5 points. Total wise, I do like Minnesota minus the points probably more than anything. I've already bounced back and forth between a side here. So admittedly so, I have not given much of the brain power, and there's not all that much to go around. Not giving all that much brain power to the total here, but we do see two really good offenses. I know the defenses are very good as well, but both these teams should be able to, to score to some degree, even though I said Minnesota can stop the points in the paint and whatnot. Points from the perimeter. I'm going to lean towards the over. I think the world's going to be on the under here because of the defenses. I'm going to flip it there. Cleveland on a back-to-back here, taking on Philadelphia. This Cleveland team is proving themselves. I know that like everyone's like, oh well, they're the number one team in the league by a lot of metrics. Best record, number one in the East, which the East obviously you got the Celtics in it. But I feel like people still are somehow in some way doubting their ability. But in this one, you have no McCain, no Martin, no Embiid on the side of Philadelphia, right? So I don't see any reason why the Cavs probably shouldn't be the side to look at here. Now, can you make the argument being like, well, they're on a back-to-back. Do you really want to lay 11.5 points? If I were to answer that honestly, I'd say no. But I don't think this Philadelphia team is like firing on all cylinders. Like, if you're going to sit here and be like, oh, well, they beat the beaten-up Orlando team. They beat Chicago. They got smoked by Indiana. And then they beat Charlotte in back-to-back games. They've won 4 of the last 5. I don't buy it, right? Like, if you're going to get Chicago, Orlando, and then Charlotte twice in 4 of your last 5 games, good for you. I'm not going to sit here and throw a parade. Cleveland has beat Milwaukee. They've beat Denver. They've beat Boston. Like, they've played a hard schedule, and they've obviously proven themselves to be a good team. My whole thing is, okay, well, it's a back-to-back. Do we really like the spot? And the answer is no. I mean, in fairness, we'll say in fairness here, 2 situations, and I don't know how much you guys like trends. I don't always read into it, but it's good to know. Cleveland has covered in 60% of their back-to-back so far this year. Philadelphia in rest advantage situations, so when they have more rest than the other team, which I guess technically they wouldn't, but even if they did, right? Because they played on the 20th against Charlotte. But even if they did, which back to back, even if they had a rest advantage situation, let me talk. They've only covered in 18% of games this year. So it's like, even if Philadelphia was resting, which again, make note, they're not. They're in the same situations. Even if they were resting, I don't even know if they'd have an advantage over Cleveland on a back-to-back. You throw into the mix that Philadelphia is on a back-to-back without Embiid, without McCain. Like, I do think that this could be a Cleveland spot. I don't know. You can clearly see I'm racking my brain in this one because I like Cleveland. They're the better team, but 12 points is a lot to win by. So I'll lean Cleveland. Let's move on with it. I doubt that becomes a final play. Total-wise, we're sitting at 219.5. This is one where I could see a Cleveland team total over. Now, I know that they, like I just mentioned, are on a back-to-back, and we could see some tired legs and all that type of stuff, right? They won 124-101 yesterday. We saw some starters not really play that many minutes. Mitchell played 27, Garland played 24, so we should get a decent effort from these guys, at least to kind of be able to score at the beginning of the game, maybe through 3 quarters, get us on a good pace to go out there and score a team total over, which let me see what we have for a total as of right now to get an updated line. Team props here. Cleveland points Yeah, see, I really don't mind over 113.5. They've done that in 8 of their last 10 games. So that could be a spot here. They've done it in 4 of their last 5 against Philadelphia. Over 113.5 for a Cleveland team total could be a spot as well. And though they're on a back-to-back, I still like the guys in the interior. I like an idea of Mobley. I like an idea in Allen. That's the point where you attack this Philadelphia team. The perimeter, so like Mitchell and Garland, who had decent games yesterday, I don't sit here and be like, oh, this is the spot for them, right? Like, no, the perimeter defense of Philadelphia isn't all that terrible, but you can get Evan Mobley right now, 16.5 points, even buy it down to 14.5 for, that's a little bit too much, 15.5 for decent odds, right? Last time he played Philadelphia had 14 points. He played 34 minutes. He didn't shoot all that well, though. He shot 50% from the field. This season, he's shooting 56% from the field. So if he shot his normal percentage, that cashes. So that might be a look. And then as well as Jared Allen. I don't have a Jared Allen updated line here. In fact, we can get that really quickly. Jared Allen's points right now is 12.5 for plus money. Last time he played Philadelphia, he had 11, but he's hit it in 4 of his last 5 before that. And even him, right? Shot 63% from the field. He only shot 8 times against Philadelphia. He's shooting 71% this year. So if we had both of these guys just shoot their normal percentages, they'd probably both hit their over last game. So maybe there's some same game parlay potential here. Cleveland money line, Mobley 15 plus, Allen 10 plus, that type of a thing. All right, guys, before we get to the last 5 games on the slate, if you guys do want to support us and pick up some of the great merch that we have, this is legitimate quality. We put a lot of effort into it. Check out the merch bar down below or head over to GuyBostonSports.com/store or FadeMe.store. Same exact site. They'll redirect you to the correct place. But again, we have the products linked on the YouTube merch bar as well for your convenience. Go ahead and check it out, guys. It supports us and also gets some great quality product in your hand as well. Head over there, pick up some merch. Again, this is legitimate stuff. We do not take this lightly. I love the messages I get from you guys being like, oh, I picked up the hoodie. I just got it to support you, but this quality is amazing. It's my favorite, blah, blah, blah. Like, those are real messages I'm getting, and that just fills me with a lot of joy because this is stuff that it's not the most profitable, right? I'll tell you that. A little peel back the curtain, I'm good at that. Not the most profitable, and it takes a lot of time, but it's something that I want to do right versus just picking one of those websites that you slap a logo on a tee and send it out. You know what I mean? So go ahead and pick up some merch, guys. See it for yourself. I promise you will like it. That'll be down below. Milwaukee taking on Washington. Milwaukee 12.5 point favorites. I feel like when Washington comes around in these breakdowns, it's like everyone can just be like, all right, this is my bathroom break, or we can just tune out, because why are we even looking at games when Washington's involved right now? Damian Lillard, I'm not sure. I don't know if this is an updated injury report, but he missed yesterday. Not sure if he's still going to be out here. Yes, you have Kyle Kuzma still out. Sadiq Bey still out for Washington. No reason to really focus in on this game, to be completely honest. It's not the sexiest of spot. I don't really love any of the player props either, because I would target getting down low and trying to score in this Washington interior. But now you're looking at, obviously, Giannis and whatnot. His line's going to be crazy anyway, so I'm probably skipping this one. If I had to, I'd look at Milwaukee and Milwaukee team total over, and then Giannis's points. Maybe you could do a same game parlay where you kind of pull these numbers back down to reality, though. All right, Chicago taking on Boston. So Chicago beats Boston outright. They were, 14.5 point dogs in that last game, and that was also in Boston. They won 117-108. You can't sit, now I'm a Celtics fan, so this could be bias. You can't sit here and tell me that Boston's not going to come out fired up because you just beat us on our home floor and we were massive favorites, right? So I do think that this is a spot to consider Boston. I still don't mind an under, though. Like last time, that's what we cashed on. We had Vucevic's over in points. That blew up on our face, but we had the under. And the reason I took the under is because I like the defensive matchup for both teams simply on the perimeter. Boston's a very good perimeter defense. So is Chicago. Where do these two teams like to score from? The perimeter. They're both 1 and 2. Boston being 1, Chicago being 2 in terms of frequency in the last 10 games from above the break 3. So I still don't mind the under. I will look at the Celtics here. I think that they can win this one by double digits, so maybe it's worth buying a point. But give me the Celtics as well as the under. Player prop wise, I go right back to the well. It's a play that we lost, but I still do trust it. Vucevic here over in his points. Now, right now, I think it's at 17.5. I don't mind that. He finished with 16 last time, and he really didn't shoot all that much. That was his second lowest field goal attempt game in his last 10 games. And on the season, I think it was his third lowest. So he should be able to shoot more. Earlier, when he played them back in November, he shot 17 times and scored the ball, and went up there. How many points did he score? 32 points, right? So it's like, I think Vucevic, we might have got turned off from it last time, but I might be running this one right back today. San Antonio taking on Portland. This Spurs team is quietly padded our pockets this season. We have had some really good spots where we pick them. Today, is it going to be one of them? Most likely so. I always tell you guys, and boy, oh boy, do we get some comments about Portland against Denver. They won outright. I said that. I sounded the psycho alert alarm. I have a good read on this Portland team. I will tell you, I do not have the cojones to pull the trigger on the Portland team, though. But if you get a team that likes to shoot inside, and that's exclusively and that type of thing, Portland's kind of a good team to get a big number against them and maybe keep it close. This spot, I don't think so, because the Spurs have been so good, and Wemby in particular, so good from three as of late, that's where you attack Portland, right? So, yeah, I really don't think that this is a game in which Portland keeps it close. San Antonio's defense, I think, is getting better as well. And, this is a game in which if San Antonio just gets in the driver's seat, I don't really see how Portland can kind of come back and kind of, I guess, get back to making it a close game. Against Denver, I see that. But against a healthy San Antonio team, I don't. So, yeah, give me the Spurs in this one. Total, I'd probably say... I do like the idea of San Antonio slowing it down, maybe stopping Portland from scoring. So I guess I'd go in that direction. I don't really have the strongest of opinions on the total here. I'd much rather just say, you know what, San Antonio -7, -6.5, and roll with it from there. Player prop wise, I'd target the perimeter for San Antonio. So you could be looking at Wemby, Vassell, even Champagnie if he gets the minutes. I think Vassell's going to take a lot of minutes from him now. So maybe it is a Devin Vassell look for either his points or from three, which I don't have either of these updated numbers. So bear with me. His points are 18.5. He had 23 last game. Last time he played Portland, he had 23. So that's good to note. His threes 2.5 for plus money. That might be the look. I think he had 5 last game, and he played a lot of minutes last game, right? Finally getting healthy. Last 3 games, 7, 6, and 7 attempts. So for him to make 3 of those for plus money isn't exactly the worst thing in the world. So I'd target him or Wemby from deep. Maybe a same game parlay. 2 from Vassell, 2 from Wemby. Call it quits. We've been cashing those guys, those 3-point parlays. We did one last time Wemby played. I believe it was Cade, LaMelo, and Wemby all to make 2 threes, and we got decent odds, -117 on it. Their normal lines are like 3.5. So putting 3 together in a parlay, not a same game parlay, was a good move. So maybe we can expect something like that. Target some of these bad perimeters around the league and, lower the line by 1 or 2 threes. Dallas taking on the Clips. I feel like these two teams have played a million times this season, which they've only played once, which is so weird. But, I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Do you feel like they've played a bunch of times? Maybe it's because they have played plenty of times in the past. But they did just play, what was it? Was that the game 3 days ago or so? So obviously this brain could be slow, not catching up to that. But either way, this is going to be a spot where we look right at the injury report again. Luka listed as, I believe, outright. We saw Kyrie Irving miss last game. If he plays, I do still I like Dallas bouncing back in this spot. They lost last time out, and then I'm going to go right back to the well with a player prop here. I like Ivica Zubac. Same exact reason. You don't want to target the perimeter in this Dallas game. They're a decent perimeter defense, but you can target their interior, and Zubac had 20-plus points last time they played. So give me Dallas as well as Zubac. Total-wise, your best guess is as good as mine. This LA team obviously has a really good defense. They've been holding opponents down, but every now and then they'll have a game, and it seems like Denver might be their kryptonite, where they let up 120 points. So I want to lean under just because I trust the Dallas defense. I do, and I like this Clippers pace and defense as well. But, when I lean towards an under, all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, now Dallas decides to show up, and they will have Kyrie, hopefully, this game, which should provide a little bit more offense. But I'd still stick to it, I guess, for now. But again, your guess is as good as mine. All right, the Suns taking on the Pistons here. Again, not the sexiest of matchups, but you do look at this and you say 6 points. Seems fairly low, right? Well, Bradley Beal looks like he might not be playing, and Devin Booker is listed as out. So this is going to be Kevin Durant, Nurkic, Jones, and O'Neal. If Beal plays, that's huge, obviously. I do like Phoenix. Probably stay away from it if he doesn't. Jaden Ivey may not play, and Isaiah Stewart is listed as out too. So there are some injuries impacting both sides. This is a Phoenix team that has won in 7 straight games against this Detroit team. They seemingly own them, and Detroit just isn't in the best space as of right now. Now that the Suns have gotten Durant back, I do trust them a little bit more. And 6 does not seem like it's the biggest of numbers, right? I wouldn't be surprised as to, maybe by the time you're watching this, by the time we want to place or roll with it, that we're looking at 6.5, 7, 7.5, because, if Bradley Beal gets ruled in, then I don't see why we wouldn't just look at Phoenix minus the 6 points. They're at home. I think they're the better team. And again, Durant's playing their better team. They're coming off a loss too. We were on the right side of that one against Indiana. It's like, yeah, they should be fired up to try and win too, right? So give me Phoenix here in this one. In terms of a total, you do have Detroit, who's been playing at a fast pace over the last 10 games. Their defense hasn't been all that great. Their offense has looked okay. So I guess I'll lean towards an over 226. Like, I would have thought this would be 229, 230, that type of thing. So I guess we're getting, at least in my humble opinion here, a 4-point discount as to where I pegged this one. So I'll lean towards an under. And then we want to wait out some of those injuries for any player props. So we might add them in the final plays. If we do add them, I'll make sure to give a little blurb and bullet point as to why we like it and what we like about it. So guys, it's going to wrap it up for today's show. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you made it all the way in, go ahead and comment 30. You're about to hit the 30-minute mark, which each time I say that, it's pretty crazy that someone, even if it's one person out of the bunch of people that'll watch this, one person's going to watch this all the way through and see that. It's like, thank you so damn much. I know the OGs are out there watching seemingly every minute of every video, and that means the absolute world to me. And I know the guppies skip around and they don't hear this little rant, so it's a good way to tell who's in, who's out, right? But I do totally appreciate it, guys. Hopefully everyone's weekend is going well. We do have football videos out for Saturday. Later today, we'll also have our Sunday video out, which we went 9-0 in last week, so hopefully we can do something like that again. But yeah, that's all from me. I'll catch you guys in the next one, right? Peace out.